Hello and welcome to the final session of day one at the Smart Protein Summit 2020. I'm Shardul Davir and I have with me today Nicole Roque. Hi Nicole.
Hi, Shardul.
We're both innovation specialists at GFI India and we are both working to accelerate the future of food and the smart protein ecosystem in India with our amazing colleagues at the Good Food Institute. I want you all to take a journey with me to the past. Let's go back to 11th November 2019. There were 400 plus stakeholders sitting in an auditorium at India Habitat Center in New Delhi, and we were all supposed to witness the first innovation showcase in India for the smart protein sector. We heard from 6 innovators about their exciting plans for their startups. If you were there in the audience, you know that we talked about things like ingenious solutions, focus on local product market fit, focus on B2B opportunities for exports, and a lot of other white space opportunities for science and technology research and commercialization. And most importantly, we all focused on how we can all leapfrog together to a better sustainable food ecosystem in India from the existing one. This year, we have supported dozens of startups in this domain who are working on promising ideas, products, solutions, and other white space opportunities that are recognized as priority areas by the GFI India. And these solutions and ideas are going to help us accelerate the smart protein ecosystem even faster. So, Nicole, do you want to tell them all how it all goes?
Thanks, Shardul. Over the next 5 days, we will hear from 5 new Indian innovators about their startups as they gear up to cash in on the multiple business opportunities created by the smart protein sector, both locally and globally. This could help India become a focus market for corporations and investors. The event format is simple. We will showcase one new innovator daily who will pitch for 10 minutes. The innovator will then be grilled on their business plan by a panel of seasoned investors. The panelists have been tracking the smart protein sector with the assistance of GFI India. To add to the excitement, starting today, we will also feature one established startup daily from the GFI India's community, as well as some from last year's showcase, who will present a short update on their journey so far. So thank you once again for joining us in this exciting session to witness innovative smart protein ideas. Shardul will kick things off for us.
So, for today's first showcase, we have Kevin Parekh, co-founder, Proeon. Kevin will tell us today about Proeon's line of plant protein isolates and concentrates designed to have superior nutritional, sensory, and functional properties for formulating plant-based meat, eggs, and dairy products. So, Kevin, the stage is all yours for the next 10 minutes. Best of luck.
The plant-based food market is expected to be $175 billion in the next decade, and we are building its foundations. Hi, I am Kevin Parekh, co-founder at Proeon, where we are working on innovative plant-based protein ingredients. There is a massive shift in consumer preference globally, and they are increasingly replacing their animal-based food with plant-based alternatives. Innovators and formulators around the world are working on creating high-fidelity replacements for a huge variety of such products, right from burger patty, egg replacements, and alternative milk to more complex products like shrimps, pork bellies, yogurt, and many more. There is an immensely large opportunity in terms of the variety and volume of the animal-based products that can be replaced. But for the plant proteins, which are the prime ingredients of these formulations, the formulators have hardly any options. The market is dominated by soya and pea protein isolates, followed by oats, rice, and a few others. And these are far from perfect. For example, soya has a major allergen issue and has a very poor consumer perception due to GMO and other grave environmental impact it has. Pea has an off taste and has a poor nutrition profile. The currently available plant proteins have three major issues. First is poor nutrition profile. This means they have low digestibility, incomplete amino acid profiles, and allergenicity, hence being inferior as compared to animal proteins. Second is they have poor sensory profile. That means they have off taste, they have poor mouthfeel, which requires taste masking and other extra processing steps, and still results in inferior consumer experience. Third is poor functionality. This means that the proteins don't meet the functionality requirements of the formulators in terms of solubility, gelling, foaming, etc., hence making it difficult for them to formulate a product with required attributes. Case in point, PepsiCo, as per one of the novel ingredient ads, are actively looking for a non-soya, non-pea plant protein which has high digestibility and neutral taste, good foaming stability and solubility, which is what they want for their beverage application development. Our solution is plant proteins with superior nutritional, sensory, and functional profiles made using proprietary extraction and protein conditioning processes. We have developed the following ingredients. First is the amaranth protein, which is a superfood protein with smooth mouthfeel, ideal for alternative dairy applications. Second is hemp seed proteins, in which we have two variations. First one is Nutra, which is a 65% protein with complete oil profile and is ideal for nutraceuticals and protein applications. Second variation is Sol, which is an 80% plus protein with high solubility, foaming, and emulsion properties, and is ideal for applications like plant-based milk, baked goods, and beverage applications. The fourth protein is Proeon mung bean protein, which has 90% protein with high emulsification and foaming capacity, which makes it ideal for egg replacement products. Fifth is Proeon fava bean protein, which is a 90% protein with neutral flavor profile and is ideal for meat replacement and blended meat products. Sixth is Proeon chickpea protein, which has a high water holding capacity and gelation properties and makes it ideal for plant-based mayonnaise, snacks, protein bars, and many more applications. Let's have a look at their performance.
Here we see solubility, which is one of the most important functionalities of protein ingredient. It is for applications like ready to drink beverages, stick packs, shakes, nutraceutical supplements, etc. This shows emulsification property, which is the ability to form stable emulsions of the protein solution in water with oil. This functionality is important for applications like mayonnaise, egg replacement products, etc. Here we see the foaming capacity and foam stability, that is, the ability of the protein solution to generate high volume of foam when agitated and the stability of the foam generated. This is highly desirable functionality for alternative milk, plant-based yogurt, cheese and vegan ice cream type of applications. Gelation or gelling ability of the proteins is important to replicate certain textures, mouthfeel, and product attributes while cooked. Example, how the egg behaves when cooked. Here we see the ability of gelation of a plant protein in absence and presence of salt.
In our second phase of development, we are working on developing newer protein conditioning processes and sources. We will be developing processes to create specialized protein isolates, optimized for specific functional properties, even better organoleptic properties, and better nutrition profile proteins for clean label products. Also, we have developed a robust team and a streamlined development procedure for identification of new sources, process development, and product scale up. We have studied in detail more than 35 indigenous crops and shortlisted 10 out of those for further development. This is the right time to solve these problems because global consumer demand is shifting to more vegan and plant-based trends. These are not fads, but long-term behavioral shifts. The plant protein ingredient market is growing at a CAGR of more than 8% and is poised to be more than $18.5 billion in 2025. Our target customers are manufacturers of plant-based meat product alternatives, alternative dairy and egg replacement products, protein-rich snacks and beverage manufacturers, and protein supplements in the geographies of North America, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. Our business model is to source high-quality raw materials through a controlled supply chain and convert them into high-protein content isolates. Then convert these into plant protein ingredients with superior nutritional profiles, sensory and functionality profiles using our proprietary protein conditioning processes. and then supplying them to global food, beverage, and supplement manufacturers on long-term supply contracts. We aim to generate an yearly revenue of around $10 million by financial year 23-24. And our IP strategy is to do extensive research on the freedom to operate before we start any development work. And we intend to create a solid IP portfolio in terms of process as well as composition patents. As founders, we have more than 23 years of combined experience in natural ingredient space. I have a management degree from IRMA and master's degree in biotechnology and have extensive experience in supply chain setup and new product development and M&A. Ashish is an ISB and BITS Pilani alumnus with expertise in strategy, product management, and international business development. Our R&D team is well qualified and is headed by Dr. Kalpana, who has an experience of over a decade with a PhD in plant protein processes. The rest of our team is also highly experienced and adept in fields of scale-up, process optimization, and operations management. We have previously raised around $500,000 using which we have built our lab, our team, and have successfully developed and scaled up 6 products. We will be looking to raise a seed round of around $2 million mid next year to develop and commercialize 3 novel proteins along with IP. Secondly, set up an applications and functionality lab in Europe or US and generate an annual revenue of around $2 million. Thank you for your time, and thank you GFI for this opportunity.
Wow, you just heard from Kevin and his vision for Proeon building the foundations of the $175 billion plant-based foods market through their range of highly functional plant-based ingredients ranging from amaranth, hemp seed, mung bean, fava bean, and chickpea. Kevin, we are excited to be on this journey with you. Now, please welcome our panel of investors who will be posing some tough questions to the innovators. Firstly, we have Shreyan Singhal, Investment Associate, Ankur Capital. Next up, we have Shruti Srivastav, Principal, Omnivore. Now we have Jinesh Shah, Founder, Y Combinator-backed startup Milk Guys, and has consulted many smart protein companies like Just and Good Dot in the past. Welcome, Jinesh. And we also have Chintan Antani, who is the AVP of Seed Investments and Portfolio at CIA Co, located in Ahmedabad. Welcome, Chintan. Now, all of them have an opportunity to ask one question each to Ashish and Kevin, the co-founders at Proeon. And now, I'd like to welcome Kevin and his co-founder Ashish on board for the Q&A session.
Hi everyone.
Great. I hope you're excited for the Q&A session. We have
Absolutely.
a panel of judges, as you know, and we are going to get started with the recording of the session. So, Shreyansh, let's get started with you first. You can ask one quick question to Kevin, and then we'll pass on to the next judge and so on.
Thanks a lot, Shardul. Kevin, my question to you is in terms of building this out for the B2B landscape. How are you thinking about the demand side and supply side as you're building this together? What are the variations? What are the problems? And what kind of focuses that you have in terms of ensuring that the right kind of supply is coming into your product line? Because it is plant-based protein that you're working on, right? And where are you seeing demands in the larger market, and how are you going about it in terms of catering to those demands?
Right. So I'll take the question in 2 parts. One is the supply part for the raw materials, and one is the demand part, if I get you correctly, right? So in terms of supply, we have quite a good amount of experience working in the natural ingredient supply side. So it is one of our main focuses to whatever raw materials we are working with to have a solid risk hedged kind of a supply in terms of geography as well as the people that we work with. And that is something that we are going to build on, and you would have seen in our last slide how the focus is growing more and more on having a complete control and traceability and consistent availability of quantity and quality of supply chain. That means working with a tied up supply chain in terms of working with FPOs, farmers, and also working across different geographies for that supply. In terms of demand, we see the demand is going to grow very, very fast and will become very huge. In terms of the variety also, I think the problem in demand might be that there might be too much of variety of ingredients that are sought from ingredient players like us, because like US and North America have their own culture of eating ground beef and similar textured meats, and places like Southeast Asia, etc., will have much more expectation of something that will work well for mock or analog C food. So what we have done is we have divided our focus also across different applications for which we'll be developing our ingredients, and also across different geographies. So we don't want to attack everything at the same time. We have identified a few areas which we want to target in terms of applications, and then slowly develop other things. I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. For the next question, we are going to go to Shruti Srivastav from Omnivore. Shruti, you can pose your question to Kevin or his co-founder Ashish.
So my question to you is the following. There are several large players operating in the ingredient space. You have folks like Ingredion, Roque, all building significant portfolios in the space. What would be the defensibility both on the product side as well as on the process side for a young startup like yours?
Right. Ashish, would you want to take that?
Yeah. So as far as Shruti, these big ingredient players such as Ingredion, Puris, and others, they have since very long time they have been investing in specific raw materials such as pea or soya or wheat, and their entire technology supply chain is kind of geared towards that. Having said that, the way the new applications are emerging in every field, right from dairy to snacks to meat, it needs variety of ingredients. So one protein fit all approach will not work for sure. And that's where the need for newer and newer sources. And typically, if we talk about India, and one of our major value proposition is working on indigenous crops. So we are a primarily plant-based protein consuming country, and traditionally we have been consuming these crops. So we are identifying these crops, working on their functionality and creating that USP on our products and taking it to market. And we are kind of open to collaboration. So we don't see all these companies as our competitors. And in fact, in due time, we'll be reaching out to them as well for collaboration. So that's how we plan to compete and, go ahead in the market.
Chintan, why don't you go ahead with your question?
So, Kevin, Ashish, broadly, my question is around the different products that we've come up, right? What has been, as entrepreneurs, your thought process behind coming up with each one of them? Specifically, if you could talk about Fava and the Amaranth SKU that you're planning to build, right?
Right. Sure. So what we have done is we have looked at quite a few factors before selecting what to go with. But our initial approach was to talk to potential customers before we start selecting what we want to work on and what we develop. So we got a few clues from there that what they are looking for in terms of either the nutritional profile or the functionality profile or the sensory profile. And we selected Fava for two reasons. Like it is coming up as a much stronger alternative to soya and pea. And it has a very neutral taste, so it can go into a lot of applications. So since it has that ability to not come out as tasting like a grain, so that was the reason of Fava. And also its availability is quite solid in terms of global supply chains. Second is Amaranth. Amaranth is a known superfood in the Western world as well. Again, it has a lot of good nutritional properties, and some of the results that we have got in our internal testing and development, we feel it is a very good fit for the alternative dairy sector. So that is the reason for these two. And again, these are crops which, and Amaranth has an additional thing of it can grow into very poor quality soils, can create good profits for farmers, and it's easy to grow and cultivate and harvest. So that is the main reason.
Got it. Makes sense, Kevin.
Yeah.
Jinesh, would you like to ask a question to Kevin and Ashish?
Yeah. Hey, Kevin and Ashish. My question was also in part related to how ingredient suppliers, the larger ones, work. But do you have any plans of setting up your own innovation labs or coming up with a variety of base sort of prototype products in order to, lower the barrier to entry for companies that want to develop these products to partner with you?
Yes. So I'll take the question on the prototypes. Ashish can better answer what are our future plans for setup. So basically, our aim is to solve the formulation challenges of our customers at ingredient level itself. So in fact, we are working on developing quite a few prototypes and how our ingredient actually behaves in a product. So when we go to a customer and maybe a newer company, either who is not into this space or they are just starting up, they don't have to do everything from scratch. We give them a base information of how to use our ingredient and make an application out of it, and then add unique things of their own. And since we are solving a lot of functionality and sensory problems at our end, that makes it much easier for them. And in fact, we are tying up with an agency who can help us develop these kind of prototypes. So taking one ingredient of ours and making, say, alternative milk out of it, and giving that basic recipe to the formulator, things like that. And Ashish can talk about our future
So
lab
yeah,
setup
so
plans.
Jinesh, one important part here is, while we are while we are creating these ingredients for applications which are typically, predominantly Western consumers are taking. An example is, for example, we can't do an ingredient end to end based out of India for an application which is something like beef jerky, where typical US consumer is used to consuming that. So one of the clear thought is also set up application and sensory labs in these markets where we can do the tweaking of our ingredients and serve these projects in these geographies. And in fact, we are trying to work out something as we speak. I am right now in Netherlands, trying to work out something with partners such as Wageningen University and Food Valley, if we can get access to such kind of setup.
Well, thank you for answering that, Ashish and Kevin. I think that was a great Q&A session. We learned a lot. So that was a wonderful pitch, and I think the Q&A session certainly added value for attendees to kind of understand your business. So Kevin is looking to provide manufacturers with protein isolates and concentrates that have superior nutritional, sensory, and functional profile that makes it easy for them to formulate great products with ease and speed. If you're a smart protein manufacturer and are interested in Proeon's product range, do get in touch. Now, you will hear from Prakarshi Pulkit of Team Plantmade, a startup working on plant-based eggs for our first startup of date.
Namaste, I'm Prakarshi from Plantmade, and I'm going to try and tell you the story over the next 3 minutes of our amazing journey since we came to the future of protein the first time. The first time we were there in Delhi, and we really were not sure what to expect at the summit. We just took small samples of our lab-made egg to investors and industry professionals, asking them to taste it and tell us what they thought about it. We were kind of clueless on what to do next. We started out as India's first plant-based egg company, but soon began to look into the other aspects of the food and beverage industry just to find the right products that would help us fill a gap in the market. Varun and the GFI community, the GFI team, they've been a constant support system for us. They have been inspirational, and they have not only helped us in realizing our own vision for the company, but also to reach out to the right ingredient manufacturers, to the right ingredient suppliers, to the right media people, investors, and so much more. We spent the first few months in finding the right contract manufacturing partner. We set up our operating procedures. We procured specialized equipment for packaging. And by the time we felt that we were fairly ready to do a small test launch in Delhi, unfortunately the whole country came to a standstill. We persevered, and we launched a line of coconut milk-based instant beverages that were all natural flavorings and had no added sugar at all. We onboarded these products onto e-commerce platforms like Flipkart, Qtrove, and Vegan Mall. We used the lockdown time to learn a bit more about e-commerce and how to sell our beverages there. And we focused on our social media presence by doing cooking videos, webinars for food enthusiasts, and we wrote blogs on health and wellness. We moved our egg production to a bigger, cleaner, and better facility where we started scaling up our production from 1 kilo a day to 5 kilos a day to 10 kilos a day, and now we're en route to making almost 200 kilos a day from our first facility. We got a small sales team in place. We got a business development manager for the retail space on board, and we are looking to expand our digital footprint by engaging a digital media expert. We managed to convince 3 major 5-star hotels, hotel chains actually, to allow us to give a demo of our plant-based eggs and what we could make with it. And hopefully we are going to be on the menu of all these 3 5-star hotel chains before the end of this year. We managed to take our core protein extraction technology and use it for applications in so many other different categories like plant-based dips, plant-based cheese, plant-based paneer, and now we are working to refine them so that we can get them to market. We are looking for help in distribution, in cold shipping, in small manufacturing collaborations in different parts of the country, and some help with international market penetration. Thank you so much to the GFI team and the community for being a part of our journey, and we are really grateful, and we could not have done it without your constant support. Now, before we go forward, I want to show you the kind of amazing things that you could make with a plant-based egg, and I have this quick video, and let me know what you think about it.
What a great start to the showcase with Proeon's pitch today. I would like to thank all the attendees for joining the session today. I hope you join us every single day of the Smart Protein Summit over the next 5 days so that you can hear from our remaining innovators as well. Have a great time at the Smart Protein Summit 2020.